Hey, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Nathan, also known as the Rising Phoenix, and today I'm going to tell you exactly why you should fight someone who flies 15 hours to throw hands at your face. So the next experiment, calibration. The reason I'm calling it calibration is because I've got my mind and my body in sync. Alright, all healed up from the last fight, ready to go. I know I'm a little bit slower, but that's okay. So now that I got both of these in sync, where do I stand? So my ride cancels on me last minute, and I have to eventually just find a way to get there, right? So I wind up borrowing a friend's car. Thank you. And I get there a little bit late. They've already done the weigh-ins. They're like, oh, you gotta go talk to this person. I'm like, okay, I'll go over here. They're like, wait, you haven't been weighed in yet? Oh, no, I thought this was for. She's like, no, go get weighed in. I'm like, so I go over there and get weighed in, sign the waiver, which apparently you have to do every time. It's not just like you sign it once and then that waiver's always there. You gotta do it every time. That's cool. And I'm looking around trying to find Face, and finally catch up to him. I'm like, hey, Face, I haven't been paired up with anybody yet. He's like, okay, cool. Will you fight this guy? It's a kickboxing match. And I look at him and I'm like, kickboxing? Man, I came here for MMA. And then Face is like, look, this dude flew all the way from the Netherlands, and nobody will fight him. That intrigued me for two reasons. One, he flew so far. He traveled so far, right? And then two, no one will fight him? Why? That excited me. I was like, I want to know why nobody's going to fight this guy. And then I was like, okay, you know what, Face? I've never kickboxed before in my life. I've never done this. But I'll fight this guy. Since, no one else would do it. But also secretly, I wanted to know, like, what's up with this guy, right? Turns out Cayo, he's a really great guy. Really cool. He really wanted to make sure before we got in there, he's like, we're gonna touch gloves, right? Like it's a we're gonna get in there and it's gonna be like cool, right? I'm like, yeah, dude, totally, It's like, cool, I respect you, man. And I was like, yeah, I respect you too, dude. Like it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a lot of fun. He's like, yeah, cool, yeah. And he's like, and after we can go for drinks. I'm like, yeah, sure, man, we'll do that. That wound up not happening. I couldn't find him afterwards, so sorry about that, man. Next time. Before the fight, he's like, so tell me, what all do you do? And I'm like, I've done a little bit, studied, Kung Fu off and on for about 10 years, studied some Krav Maga, sprinkling of Muay Thai, some Budo Taijutsu, and, all these other things. He's like, oh, so you have some skill. And it's like, well, some skill. I lost my first fight, so there's that. But, I'm not a beginner. And he's like, okay, cool. Well, you make me a little bit nervous. And I was like, oh, okay. And inward I have this thought, right? I'm like, oh yeah, I got this in the bag. But then the smarter part of me is like, hey, no. Remember that mind game we learned about last time? Yeah, this is one of those things. He's comfortable enough to admit to you that you make him a little bit nervous. This guy's a good fighter. That instinct finally kicks in and you're like, oh wait, no. Let's not forget the very first rule of combat, which is never underestimate your opponent. Never. Right? The moment you underestimate somebody, they're going to catch you off guard. And it's always that thing that you don't see coming, that one thing that you don't expect, that's going to just get you. Then, Cayo, he tells me a little bit about his experience and stuff. Turns out, his brother is one of the top pro kickboxers in the Netherlands. And that's who he's been training with for the last 3 years. And I thought that was fun, again, thinking about the synchronicities that tend to show up with a lot of things. Because about a week beforehand, the thought struck me. It's like, hey, what level are the pro fighters actually at? Like, what is something that you can only understand after you get in the ring with them that you can't see on camera? Like, what is that? And when I fought Cayo, I got a taste of it that no one else got because no one else fought him. So as many of you who have been in the ring may know, but for those of you who don't, whenever someone comes at you full force, right, there's this nice little energy reverb that happens. And you can kind of feel into the constitution of the other person's body, like where they're pulling from, if they're a little bit wobbly, if there's a little bit of give, right? You can kind of really feel what's going on. Let me tell you something about Cayo. Caillou is 100% solid, right? Like solid, no give, no jiggle, and he's pulling as you should. Everything from his core, strong. It was a little interesting because because when he knocks me over to the wall, like I'm feeling this, like, you know, I catch that kick, I'm like, whoa, boom! And I'm like, oh yeah, I got this. But even though I felt like I was in a strong stance, it was kind of like an anime, right? Like Goku gets hit and he just flies through like 8,000 mountains. It's kind of what it felt like, because even though I stopped that kick, the momentum was enough to fly me backwards. Honestly, it was kind of fun. It was a lot of fun. But man, I thought Odin-san hit hard. Caillou on a completely different level. Like, man, you know. So he's coming in, right? And it's just like, bah, 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 like a steamroller, just boom, 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 boom.
Oh my God!
And I'm like, God, I wanna, like, something, anything. When can I? And anytime I open up, I get caught. Anytime I get open up, I got caught. And he was just fast. And at one point, I throw a fist, and I'm just like, yeah. And he just goes slip. Bah, 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 bah. And I was like, right? Just totally frustrated, totally like, I wasn't even mad. I was impressed. Even in the moment, I was just like, wow, this guy. So he's coming in, boom, 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 do all these other things, bam, 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 bam.
Protect yourself, Phoenix! Oh! Protect yourself, fight, throw something, stop it!
Over and over and over. And then he comes in with the kick, hits me in the chest, and I guess maybe he thought I was gonna drop or something, and so he expected me to be a little bit lower than I was, and I wasn't. And so he comes in, you can hear it in the video. The pop on the cup. Man, cups only do so much. I mean, they only distribute the force. That's it. We still have that force. And it was really intense. Like, you know, dropped me to the ground immediately, and I'm thinking, I'm just sitting there holding it, and I'm like, am I gonna throw up? And I didn't want to throw up. I did not want to throw up. I hate throwing up. And so I decided, I was like, okay, I'm gonna throw up. No, not if I pull that intensity into my fist and redirect the energy elsewhere. Focus on something else for a second. Get off the ground. And so I do that. I pull some intensity into my fist, and I just slam the side of the ring, which kind of scared a couple people. They weren't expecting a big loud noise and for the ring to move a little bit, so sorry guys. But then the ref's like, hey man, if you don't get up, I'm gonna call it. And I was just like, man, I can't go out on a nut shot. Screw that. Not gonna do that at all. So then, you know, I had my fist on the ground and I pulsed through my fist because like I just couldn't really, like, felt like I couldn't move my legs. And I came up with enough force that all I had to do was just kind of find my balance on my feet. Didn't know I could do that. So that was kind of cool. And I was like, the crowd really loved that. And so we go in for the second part, right? And that's when I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna like run in and get my leg up before he does and do a kick. Again, reach is something that you have to have a technique for. Not only were his arms longer than mine and his torso longer than mine, his legs were longer than mine, right? So it's like I had to find a way to like get in there somehow, and I just hadn't, you know, I haven't developed that yet, and like haven't learned how to work around the reach quite yet. I'll get there. And so back to the part, right, where I've never kickboxed before, you know. I'm thinking, you know, Face gives me this advice. It's like, yeah, it's like MMA, just no grappling. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's a little bit more than that. Elbows aren't allowed. You can only knee to the body, right? You can't knee to the face. I'm sitting here thinking, God, what can I do? He was such a good striker. He was outstriking me that what I wanted to do, just wanted to grapple him and take him to the ground. And at one point, he comes in and even catch that knee. I dampened it and didn't hurt. I catch him like this. And he just pulls with the strength of his abs and throws me into the wall. And I'm like, wait, grappling isn't allowed. Ugh. So I let go of the leg and get popped in the face twice for trying to remember the fucking rules. So yeah, then he gets back in, and then eventually it's like, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna wait for his stamina to end. Like, I can do that. I'm holding on, you know, whatever. But I got the sense, I really got the sense that Caillou could keep this up for like 5 minutes at a time. right? Like after the fight, he wasn't even sweating. He was just getting started. Just getting started. So eventually the refs called it. And, you know, again, I wasn't mad. I was impressed with the guy. So we gave him a hug and he's like, you doing good? You doing? I'm like, yeah, man. Wow.
Good fight, y'all. Good fight.
But yeah, so that was pretty intense. That was a lot of fun, and would definitely do it again after I figure out how to compensate for someone else's reach, right? Maybe Caillou will agree to an MMA match next time, and then I can show him about, as he calls, that hugging shit, what the power of grappling does. Of course, after the cameras stopped rolling, that's when the crowd started chanting, Phoenix, Phoenix, and I'm like, why? I got kicked around the ring, like, why are you chanting for someone who's losing? Like, I don't get it. But then a lot of people after the camera, I'm like, dude, the way you got up after the nut shot, man, you're my hero. And I was like, what, really? He's like, yeah, I wouldn't have kept going, but you did. You got heart. And that was what I heard a lot from a lot of people. You got heart, you got heart. And I'm like, okay, cool. What does that mean? I don't know. And Booga, he comes up and he talks to me. He's like, yeah, man, you got heart, but at some point, there's a thing where it's like too much heart is getting a little too stupid. And I'm like, oh okay. Yeah, I assume what he's meaning is that you know, you get a little in over your head, and you know, you start getting injured in ways that you know, really shouldn't be getting injured. But yeah, so that was Calibration. That was my first fight that day. I had a second fight. Calibration continued. We'll talk about that in the next video. But yeah, thanks again, Caillou. That was a wonderful experience. I still plan on visiting you in the Netherlands and training with you. So just give me some time, but it'll happen, man. So yeah, thanks for being here, and I'll catch you next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, tap the notification bell, and see you next time.